Plus, remember the covenant or the promises he made with who? Dawood? Oh, you forgot about those. So, because of the promises he made with Dawood, he wouldn't cut off the house of Judah, because Dawood's throne would what? Would not be in need of one of what?
A king.
The king. So, without any, let's read one more. Rob, again. Have we timed out?
Yeah, I already stopped.
Oh, you already stopped?
But I restarted it. He's still got that one.
Oh, okay. So let's read one more. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 23rd chapter, verse 1, all the way down to verse 10. Let's go all the way down to verse 18. And we're going to stop there. Ezekiel 23, verse 1 through 18. Should I go?
Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 1 through 18. The word of Yahuah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the names of them were Aholah, the elder, and Aholabah, her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names: Samaria is Aholabah, and Yahusha or Jerusalem is Aholabah. I'm sorry, Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem is Aholabah. And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted, with all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt. For in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her. Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted, or doted. These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters, and slew her with the sword, and she became famous among women, for they have executed judgment upon her. And when her sister Aholabah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms. She doted upon the Assyrians, her neighbors, captains and rulers, clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredoms. For when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding and dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of her love, and they defiled her with their whoredom. And she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them. So she discovered her whoredoms and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister.
Okay, now you see where the Most High, just like he had alienated who? The house of Israel. Now he has an alt against who? The house of Judah. Now he alienates himself from Yahudah. And he does what to Yahudah? Just like he sent the Assyrians and allowed them to capture and take over the house of Israel, who does he send to the house of Judah? The Babylonians. Now you see him do something with the house of Judah, because the house of Judah does not learn from the house of Israel's treachery and whoredom and harlotry. So keep that in mind as we continue next week. And homework assignment for the week is go look up those two names of those sisters and come back and tell us what they mean. And see if they depict, or see if you see some familiarity. And see if you can see Israel. See if you can see their actions and what they did before Yahuah. And why these sisters were named that. And that's the beauty of the whole book. This book is about two sisters. It's about two wives. Under the rule of one man. Supposed to be in one house. When we look at that, that's just what it is. And he's trying to show the two how to be one under one roof. Am I wrong, y'all?
No.
He's trying to show two wives how to work in righteousness and obedient to their each under one roof. But do you see these women? You ought to see you just can't do your own thing. You have a man over you. And when you get outside of the order that that man has established, guess what happens? You find yourself getting your knapsack bruised, and the most of what he do, he just push you right on out the door. I think more reconcilable says it best. He invites you in, you go straight on out to the back door. Right. And so we have to pay attention to this. It's all about the Most High trying to restructure and realign his house. He's trying to get his wife to be obedient to his words and to follow his instructions, so they can remain in a covenant relationship with him in his house, under his roof, under his provision, under his protection, under his shelter. And this is what we're going to have to get back to. This is exactly what we're going to have to get back to. And you know, I had a conversation, we're through with the lesson. We're going to continue on part 2 next week. I had a conversation with one of the employees at work, and they were asking me about our heritage and our customs and all, because there's another Israelite brother that's one of the managers. He had been speaking with us. And so she said, I heard that y'all could have more than one wife. So I'm like, here we go. I'm like, out of all the conversations y'all had, is this what stuck out the most to you? I said, yeah, that's true. I said, but you have to understand, because she gave me a look, and I said, you have to understand there is an order, that structure to what we do. I said, now, when it comes to us, when it comes to that, we don't just go do this because we're hot and we're trying to satisfy our lust. I said, it doesn't have anything to do with that. I said, when we read in the scriptures, when our men took on this practice, most likely it was for a reason. It was for a very specific reason that needed to be done. I told her, I said, now, what you have to understand is because of Western schools of thought and the Western mindset, that's kind of hard for you to understand. That's kind of hard for you to accept. I said, you don't find it strange? I said, what's the number one plague that plagues black people the most in America? It has destroyed our whole community, everything. I said, it's single parent households. Single parent households. That's the number one killer of the black community. And I asked her a question. I said, think about this. I said, out of all of your childhood friends you remember growing up in the neighborhood with, I said, I can ask you a question right now. You never thought about it all this time. I said, when you begin to answer this question, you're going to begin to feel sorrowful and feel shameful. I said, out of all of your friends, including yourself, and so I'm going to give you an example. With me, our clan in my neighborhood was about 40 strong. Out of 40 friends or clansmen, guess how many of us had a father in the home? 2 out of 40.
I had one.
You had one?
One of my, from 21st Street, from Clinton Avenue all the way down to Springfield Avenue. It must have been on that strip. I'm going to say about maybe 50 to 60 houses. Only one family was a loving brother.
One family. I had 2 out of 40. And it was myself, and I got another friend named Napoleon. Napoleon's father was in the house. And even in my house, it wasn't my biological father. It was my mom's second husband, my stepfather. But out of 40, only 2 had a man in the house. That shouldn't be. And I began to show her when she asked, she said, you know what? She said, none of us had a father at home. We were all raised by, I said, this is what I'm trying to show you. So when you hear about this thing about multiple wives and stuff like that, or I said, don't let your mind stray and go into left field. It has nothing to do with that. This is the importance to show you when you're in a community, you shouldn't have to deal with that. There are plenty of women who could have had a male figure or a husband in the house had they known about their heritage and their culture. That should be. And this is why our young men grow up a lot of times doing the things that they do. They grow up living a life of crime. Because you know, systematic, we're in a system where we face all kinds of systemic everything. It's a system devised and constructed to do one thing, to destroy the nation of Yashra'al as a people. So when it comes to this, I'm going to explain to her, and this is why it's so important to see how important your heritage is, your culture is. Because we got some mindsets here, and it's the craziest thing that this is something that I don't even really, y'all know I don't really talk about stuff like this, but just being in prayer and just speaking with Yahuah, let me tell y'all something. There's something to get ready to come. A lot of things you thought you were against and wouldn't do, you're going to embrace it with open arms. Because he's going to force you and make you see the importance of it. You got some that they can't stand to be around other people. Oh, I have to be alone. I can't have, let me tell you something. When them damn bombs and missiles start flying across the sky and dropping on earth, let me tell you something. It'll be 15 of you in one room, and you'll be happy that somebody's in there with you. Because let me tell y'all something. Always remember, when you read these scriptures, when they came out of Egypt, he didn't bring them out of Egypt and then decide to allow the plagues to come forth. What did he do? Did he not lead them right in the midst of Egypt, surrounded by these plagues? And they had to see his works? He allowed them to see everything that he was doing. So what do you think is going to happen while we're here? For some reason, we don't think that there's going to be a testing and a trying right here where we are.
That's right.
And that's why you hear me and more reconciled lately, talking more and more about community living, coming together, setting aside your differences. Because we're going to have to come together. Go ahead, Maury.
You know what? It's funny that you bring up this topic because this was a conversation that was brought out maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. And I'll send an article to anybody that's interested. When we're talking about the dysfunction in communities, this report was brought out. It said that black abortions by the number. In the United States, the abortion rate for black women is almost 4 times that of white women. On an average, 900 black babies, they say black babies, are aborted every day in the United States. This tragedy continues to impact, that's
a lot too.
yeah, aborted every day in the United States. This tragedy continues to impact the population levels of African Americans in the United States. The abortion racial disparity holds true with the focus on Michigan's statistics as well. It goes on to say more than 19 million black babies have been aborted since 1973. 19 million. They even have, I think I shared with some people in the congregation where they set up in our communities drop boxes. Did anybody see that?
The baby drop box.
Yeah, the woman that want the baby, she can drop the baby off in a drop box the way that we used to do back in the day with VHSs and cassettes and things like that. You just drop the babies off. I mean, and then the scripture talks about in Deuteronomy 28 chapter where there's hatred. And again, we're not making mockery or fun of our sisters, but there's something going on that a lot of our sisters have gotten comfortable with Western society. They've been made very, very comfortable, and there has been a role reversal. Meaning this is that when information like this is brought out, a lot of them don't want to hear that. Because Deuteronomy 28 chapter, it says specifically now is that the woman now is going to actually hate the fruit of her own loins. The baby that she will actually deliver, that she will abort it. And even the ish that she lies with every night, she would hate him. And she was taught this now by the enemy. So these things that we are reading about and that we're talking about is scripture, and we also have statistics reports showing that I share all the time. And this again is not to make mockery of our sisters, but just for them to wake up. Zacchaeus was there, and Zakar was there as a witness. The way things are done in other cultures outside of America, I don't know whether a lot of our sisters would be able to function outside of America. It's just not ran the same way. It is not that it's harsh and we're going to all of a sudden take you over to another land and beat you. That's not what it is. But they're more of a custom nation. And a lot of us are not going to be able to give up those liberties not the same. I've seen a sister. There was a gentleman that was speaking with one of the people in that country, and the Isha got in the midst of that conversation. The native-born person in our country said, he spoke to the guy. He said, "Listen, I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to you. We're men as talking. We don't do that here. Not here. This is men talking." And it makes it so, like you're saying, even my grandparents, when the men were talking, Grandma, she went in the back, and she spoke with the other women. She wasn't all up in, well, I believe this, and this is what I see. Nah, that's not going to happen. So, let me just finish this, Maury, and then I'll let you back. I don't want to take away from anything that you're saying, but this whole genocide thing and destroying the black males and what the enemy has allowed to happen, where I'm going to give all the responsibility to the women, and I want the black man out, the copper-colored man outside of the house. It says more than 19 million black babies have been aborted since 1993. Black women have a significant higher abortion rate than whites and Hispanics. 35.6% of all abortions in the U.S. are performed by black women. However, black women take up only about 13% of the female population. But then it just goes on with a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, it gets very, very graphic and gruesome. Even when you begin to see how an abortion actually works, where you're actually pulling apart a living specimen. It's pulling off legs and heads and arms, and she will have no remorse with what was going inside of her stomach. No remorse. And she can only do that here in America.
You're right. See, that's going to have to be a change in our mindset. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, working in the school system, my first year, it's really interesting looking at the way it's set up. Like, yeah, we have a black male principal, and that end of itself, that's cool. But like at the classroom level, it's predominantly women that have the influence and control. Like in my class, the teacher is a female, and the two parents are the males, and the kids, they don't really look like there's one male child, you can tell this, you probably know his name. But he doesn't, the only person he'll hear is the female. He won't hear the two men. And the way it's set up, in the school, in the county, and as you go up, gets bigger, the system gets bigger, like, I can't do anything. Like, he can tell me, like, I had a child like kicking and punching and spitting on me yesterday. There's really nothing I can do. But like they don't listen to the women. Like the way it's set up, women can come in and do all that demonstrative stuff. You know how black women can get sometimes. But for me, if I were to get forceful with him, like it would cost me my job. So it's set up for them to everybody run over the black male, in the situation. And it doesn't do anything but hurt them in the long run. Because you're going to get outside of these walls, and it's going to be completely different. Like you're not going to be able to run over a cop or another male like that.
Right. So society and the powers that be, they're doing a number on us. They're doing they have. So go ahead, I'm right. Okay.
Because it's just going to what Moshe was talking about power. I don't know if y'all saw it, but America now is starting to treat masculinity as a mental health issue.
What? Toxic male masculinity, that's what they call it. Toxic male masculinity.
Masculinity is now, they're going to treat it as a mental health issue. So, you can't go to the gym no more. You got a mental health issue, you know what I'm saying? You're masculine. Something's wrong with you.
That's what they say. But you ain't
You heard about it?
I have.
Yeah.
And I see it on Twitter all the time.
Exactly. They want to start treating her as a mental health issue.
Yep.
That's what it is.
It was a
Yeah,
black
it's a mental
female.
health issue.
She was saying that, and this is weird, because when I grew up, I just would never hear black people talk this way. But there was this black female, she was going back and forth with this one cat, and she was basically saying to this guy, my son can wear whatever he wants with a dress, heels. I was like you just, black people didn't talk like that back in the day, but this woman was like, that whole male, female thing, like, he can do whatever. And I said, oh, wow, that's deep. That's toxic. Like,